sometimes have been known to joke that I don't have an accent. My voice is just plain normal. But the truth is, among us, there are many different voices and accents. And when you know someone really well, you can identify them just by hearing their voice. These days, when the phone rings, many phones display the name of the person who's actually calling. And I sometimes get confused when the phone tells me, for example, that a certain person is on the other end, but when I hear the voice, it's somebody completely different. However, when I hear the voice, I may still know who it is, even though the name is incorrect. A while ago, somebody called me from England, and when I picked up the phone, the person just said, "Oh, hi, Debbie," and I knew immediately who it was. And it's not just humans, is it? Animals, too, can get to know their owners' voices. Many dogs certainly know their owner's voice and will do all sorts of things for them. Even my cat knows my voice, but she still doesn't do what I want. She chooses to do just what she likes. Jesus says that even sheep know the shepherd's voice. If Jesus is the good shepherd and we are his sheep and hear his voice, I wonder how we react. Do we obey our shepherd? Or like my cat, do we just do whatever we want? Of course, there are good and bad shepherds, but experience tells me that if we follow the good shepherd's voice, then everything will be okay. In the Holy Land, shepherds bring their flocks to places where the animals can drink water, and several flocks of sheep and goats might mix together on the hillside. When it comes for the time when the shepherd needs to leave the area, he goes to the bottom of the hill and may call his sheep. The sheep recognise his voice and they separate out from other animals and follow him. And this is the example that Jesus used to describe himself. He said, "He calls his own sheep by name and he is leading them out. When he has brought out all of his own, he will go ahead of them and the sheep will follow him because they know his voice." There seems to be some mixed imagery in this passage because Jesus also declares himself not only to be the good shepherd, but also the gate. Perhaps the common thread that binds the shepherd and the gate is that of nurture and protection. The good gate is the entrance that leads the way to where we should be going, and the good shepherd who loves the sheep and who wants the very best for them is the one whom we should be following because he is leading us to where we need to be. But beware, says Jesus, because by contrast there are also thieves and bandits who attempt to get hold of the sheep by illegitimate means. They neither know nor care for the sheep and only want to use them to their own advantage. Here, of course, Jesus is warning about the Pharisees and the teachers of the law who posed as shepherds of God's flock, but were in fact far from the real thing. Rather, they were the thieves and the bandits, enslaving people to every detail of the law of Moses, while ignoring the deeper meaning of that law, that is, the nurturing and protecting of the chosen people of God. Today, there are still people and things that promise us a quick fix, luring us with the promise of wholeness or fulfilment in our lives if we would only sign up or do this or follow X, Y, and Z. And yet these things all too often turn out to be empty promises and hollow shams. Today, there are still people who, even in our churches, are like thieves and bandits. They look the part, they profess to follow Christ, and yet they are really leading double lives. What they portray to others is not really the person that they show to their family or others. So we are called to be authentic, and we need to ask ourselves, are we authentic Christians? We know, of course, that we are not the finished article, And we may have some real rough edges that need smoothing down. I think this time of being isolated at home has highlighted many of those things, especially when we are living alongside other people and we start to get on each other's nerves. Sometimes we realise that these are our failings. It's not actually the other person at all. It's just the way that we handle things. We have rough edges and we all, in places, need smoothing down. We know, of course, that we will make mistakes again and again. But the thing is are we being real to ourselves and to other people? Are we being honest in our true will to follow Jesus? And are we actively listening for his voice and his guidance in our lives? I think, again, this time of isolation, it's so easy for us to slip away, to start drifting from the path. So easy to stop listening for our Good Shepherd's voice. So this is a time we need to remind ourselves that that's what we need to be doing. Listen to the voice who leads us in the right way. Perhaps, though, the first and most obvious application of this passage is the need for us to take seriously Jesus' claim to be the real gate that goes into the sheepfold, the church. For some of us, this is closely associated with our baptism. For others, meeting Jesus in a personal way can be quite distinct from baptism. All that is important, though, is that both take place. There is a call as Christ's leaders to be baptised into the faith, and there is also a call to fellowship with other Christians and to seek together to grow God's kingdom. Again, this time of isolation, it brings to mind those things, what can we do? What is possible at this time? Well, we still have a duty of care to one another to try and keep each other on the right path. But we also have a duty of care to those outside of our church family, our neighbours, our friends. Who is isolated? Who is lonely? Who would appreciate a call? Just pick up the phone, give them a call. Pop if you're out on your exercise walk, pop a little note in their letterbox, something just to cheer them up and encourage them. The other thing is that if Jesus is the Good Shepherd, we as his flock need his continuing protecting and nurturing ministry, building us up in the Christian faith. So we need to be actively seeking to listen for his voice and growing in our understanding and wisdom. And just finally today, if Jesus is the authentic way into the church and the authentic shepherd of the church, which he is, we need also to challenge ourselves over the genuineness or authenticity with which we live out our Christian life. And do we experience the abundant life that Jesus brings? Does the manner in which we live our life reflect our profession of faith in Christ and our worship of him? And on a deeper level, do the innermost thoughts of our minds and the attitude of our hearts reflect and confirm our public profession? The church, the Christian community, is the means by which Jesus' ministry continues in the world. So we as his members also need to seek spiritual authenticity in our whole lives. On a recent Facebook post by the Archbishop of Canterbury, an observer had written this: "When the church buildings open again, we might see the effect that the virus has had on people's beliefs." Just consider that for a moment. What effect has this virus, this isolation, this abstaining from attending our church buildings had on our belief and our service to others, if any? Well, let's just pray that it's a good one. Thanks be to God.